If you want to learn Excel, this crash course is for you. We're gonna cover all the basic tools that beginners need to know. Get ready to learn in a practical and straightforward way. Let's get started. So let's start with the max function. As the name said, the max function returns the maximum value of a column. So here we have a student list and their grades, and we want to return the maximum grade of this list. How we do it? Every formula in Excel starts with the equal sign. So equal, and then we can call a function inside Excel. We will use the maximum function. So max. Here we can see a little explanation on how the formula works. Return the largest value in a set of values, ignoring logical values and text. So the max function only works with numbers. So we can double click it or hit tab. I will hit tab and it will open a parenthesis. Now we select the interval that we want and close parenthesis and hit enter. 8.5. As we can see it, the max function worked and bring to us the maximum value of this list. In opposite to the max value, we can use the min value. That brings the minimal value in a list. So let's use it. Equal sign, min value, open parenthesis, select the interval, close parenthesis, and hit enter. Here we have 4. As we can see, the grade 4 is the minimum in this list. Now we'll see the sum function. The sum function is one of the most useful functions inside Excel. We will use it in our daily basis with very often. Here we have a product list and their values. If you want to sum all the values, we can call it the function. So it's equal sum, add all the numbers in a range of cells, so it will sum all the values of the range of cells that we select. Let's select before to B5, before, close parenthesis, and hit enter. Here we have $6,950. It's the total sales of these products. Now, if we want to do the opposite and subtract some values, we don't have a natural function inside Excel. We have to use the minus signal. So how can we do it? We will select the columns that we want. So here we have a product list, their values, and a discount that can be applied to these products. So let's give it a shot. Equal the value minus the discount and hit enter. $3,200 minus $200. It's 3,000. The formula worked. We don't need to write the formula in every single row. What can we do? If you select the bottom right of a cell, you can see that the cursor will change to a plus sign, a black plus sign here. So just select the cell with the plus sign and drag it down. The formula will expand to the other levels, to the other cells. It's this function, it's very useful for our daily basis because we gain a lot of time doing that. It's not needed to reply the formula in every single row. Just do it once and drag it to the others. Okay. As subtraction, divide don't have a natural function, so we have to use a signal. So let's give it a shot. Equal a value, the number of payments that the customer can use to pay this product, divided by this number. So we have a B2 divided with C2 and hit enter. $160,000. Let's drag the value to be applied in the other formulas, in the other cells, sorry. As you can see, the drag functionality will respect the cells intervals. So here we selected B2 and C2. Here it will select B3 and C3, and here we'll select B4 and C4. Now let's do the opposite and multiply some values. To multiply, we'll have to use the asterisk signal. So here it is, equal the value that we want, multiply it by the quantity of products that we have. B2, multiply it by C2, and hit enter. Here it is, the multiplied value, $3,200 multiplied by 2. Let's drag it to the others, and here it is, our multiplied values. Now we're gonna see the average value. The average will return with a native function inside Excel. The average, as the name says, return the average of an interval. So equal average returns the average arithmetic mean of its arguments, which can be numbers or names, arrays, or reference that contain numbers. As the other native function that we see before, Excel needs that the interval has numbers. It won't accept text. Average, open parentheses, select the interval, close the parentheses, and hit enter. Here it is. 6.9 is the average of the grade of all these students. So, what are you thinking of the video so far? If you want to improve your skills even more, I have prepared a very special ebook just for you. It will contain all the content of this video and even more for a special price. Just click in the fixated comment and access the ebook today. Now let's see all about reference. What is reference? Reference is the specific range that a function is using. We have two types of reference. We have the relative reference that changes the range as the formula is dragged, and we have the absolute reference that keeps the selected cell, column, or row fixed. How can we fix a column, a cell, or a row? It's very simple. If you want to fixate a cell, we will use a double $sign, one in front of the column and one in front of the number. If you want to fixate only a column, we'll put the $sign in front of the column and the number will be free. In the opposite, if you want to fixate only a row, we can put the $sign in front of the number of the row and leave the column free. We'll use all these three now for you understand a little better. So let's start with a relative reference. If we want to multiply the value with the percentage of commission to give the commission to each seller, we can use a multiply sign. Here equal 100 multiplied by the commission, 2%. Okay, let's assume that for our calculations we want to use only 2%. So if we leave a relative reference, you'll see that the value will change using other percentage that we don't want. Let's see how it will be the behavior. Here it's working fine. $2 is 2% of 100. But now let's drag the formula. As you can see, the values are changing and some of them are zero, are empty. Why? Here it's working fine. It's using the B2 cell, the value, and F3, that is the 2% of commission. Now in this one, you can see that here is fine, it's using B3, but here the value changed to F4, that is the 5% commission that we don't want it. Here also the value changed to the 10% of commission. And in the next three, the value is blank because it's using an empty cell. Why that's happening? Because we have a relative reference. We are changing the range as the formula is dragged. We don't want that. We want to freeze and fixate a column, a cell, or a row. Now let's do it the right way. Let me delete it. So I will use again the B2 multiplied by the 2%. And how can I fixate this cell? Using the F4 in our keyboard. Just press F4 in your keyboard and you see one click will have a cell fixated, 2 clicks will have a row fixated, and 3 clicks will have a column fixated. First, let's use a cell fixated. I will press again 2 more times to return to the cell. So the column is fixated and the row, creating a fixated cell. And hit enter. Now let's drag again the formula. As you can see now, the value will be respected. Here it's B2 multiplied by F3, and here again B3 multiplied by F3, here again and again and again and again. Now we use an absolute reference, so the value won't change and will be used only as we want it. So now let's show to you the behavior of fixating a column and a row. Let's delete it. So let's use first the column. Let's give it a shot. Equal B2 multiplied by B4. F4 one time, F4 two times, F4 three times. Now we are fixating using the absolute reference only for columns. Let me drag the formula. As you can see, the behavior will be the same as the first example with the relative reference. Why? Because we only have freeze the column. So the row, it will be free. They will be dragged with the formula. So here is F3, now F4, now F5, now F6, and so on. But if we want to roll this formula to the right, it will drag before to C2 because the first argument is a relative reference, but they will keep the F3 column. It will keep the F column, as you can see. Now here it will have the same behavior as the other, but keeping the F column fixed. Now let's use the cell sorry, the row fixating. So again, the value multiplied by the commission. F4, F4. So now we only fixated the row, not the column or not the cell. For our example, the row being fixated will work because we are dragging down. As we can see, 2%, F3 again, F3 again, and F3 again. But if we drag the formula to the right or left, let's use right in this example, it will return 0 because the formula is fixed, is freezed in the cell, but the column can change. So when we drag the formula to the right, it will change from B to C and from F to G. So this is the difference between the relative reference and the three types of absolute reference. This is extremely important for our daily uses so we can make our formulas work 100% as we want to. So it's a good practice to always use the absolute reference, especially if you want to use a specific range of cells to be the base to transform other columns or other cells. So try always use the absolute reference in every single formula that you do, okay? Now, let's use two of my favorite formulas in Excel, SUMIF and COUNTIF. Let's start with SUMIF. SUMIF, as the name said, it will sum based on a few arguments. It is a combination of the if function with the sum function. So how can we do that? Here you can see we have a seller list and the values of each seller's sale. Here we want to group or sum the total sales for each seller, sorry. And so how can we do that? We can use the SUMIF function. How it works? Equal SUMIF, add the cells specified by a given condition or criteria. Open parentheses. The first argument, it's a range. What range? The range where the criteria that we want to use is located. So what's the criteria that we want? The name of the seller. So the criteria, the range, it's here. It's the name of the seller. So let's select this range. Now, as the second argument, we want a criteria. What criteria is? The name. And now, what we want to sum? The value. So here we have the range criteria, the criteria per se, and the sum range. And hit enter. That drag it. This I do it on purpose to show you the importance of the absolute reference. As you can see, the ranges, they drag it down with the formula here. So it can return to us a different value from the correct one. So let's do it again and now use the absolute reference as I said in the last tab. Again, SUMIF, the range of the criteria, F4, if we select a range and the next move that we do is hit F4, the absolute reference will work for the the two values of the range, the first and the last. It's a good tip to give to you. Again, the criteria, Rafael. Let's just give absolute reference for the column. And now the sum value, the sum range, sorry, and the absolute reference for the entire range. And close the parentheses. And now we can drag it without changing the range of cells. So this is the power of SUMIF. If we want to count a value based on conditions, we can use the COUNTIF function. The COUNTIF will count a specific amount of cells. So we want to know how much sales each seller did. So how can we do that? We can call the count if counts the number of cells within a range that meets the given condition. Open parentheses. Here we just have two arguments, a range and the criteria. What range it will be? The name of the seller. Let's hit F4. And now the criteria, that is the seller name. Let's just freeze the column and hit enter. And now we can drag. Here it is. Rafael did 3 sales, Peter did 1, and Mary did 2. Very cool, no? So now let's go to the concatenate function. The concatenate function, it's used to join 2 or more cells in only one. So how can we do that? Now we want to create the email of our employee. So we have his first and last name and the domain, hotmail.com. So let's go. You can use the concat function. If you had 2016 Excel or superior as Office 365, you can use the concat function. That is the new version of concat. If you have an older version of Excel, you can use concatenate. The both functions work the same way, but concat permit a larger range of cells to be put together. So let's use concat. I want the text 1, the text 2, and the text 3. Here I will freeze the column, the cell, because I want to use the same reference to the other row. And close parentheses and hit enter. Here we have Peter Doe, and now sandsilver@hotmail.com. Here it is, a perfect concatenated email for our employees. Now, the last thing we will see in this video will be the conditional formatting. What is conditional formatting? Conditional formatting is used to make more visible some aspect of our data. What kind of aspects? We can see the higher grades, the lesser grades. We can put charts to see the behavior of each cell. Let's use a few examples so this notion be more clear to you. Here it is. We have the students and their grades. And we will hit, for example, in this one, we will select this range. And I want a conditional formatting. I will come here and select one of these options. Here we have highlight cell rules. We can bring the greater than x, less than x, between two values, equal to a value, text that contains a specific text, a data occurring, duplicated values, top and bottom, top 10%, top 10 items, bottom 10 items, bottom that's 10%, above average, below average. We can put data bars that will fill according to the value, comparing to the other values in that range. We can put color scales based on the value against the range that is selected, icon sets. So for starts, let's give a shot in only highlight the values that are greater than a specific value. Here, I want to format cells that are greater than 7. And I want to choose, instead of light red, I want to use green. And hit OK. As you can see, only the grades higher than 7 become green. Now let's just do the opposite. Let's put another conditional formatting highlighting the worst grades. Let's give a conditional format, highlight cell values less than 7 and hit OK. Now we have 4 is the lowest value, is lower than 7, so it's red. Now let's put some icons. I find it very useful to highlight and analyze the data. So I want to select these values again. And this time I will want to use icon sets. I want to use these indicators. As you can see, we have a lot of options, but this I think is the most appropriate. If we select it, it will use the classification based on the percentage. How can we see that and change it? We can come here again in conditional formatting and select manage rules. It will appear all the three formatting conditions that we put it in our range, and I want to edit the icon set. I want to edit the rule. As we can see, it opens a list of things that we can do. Here, the value was selected if the green value will be when the value is higher or equal to 67% of the value. Here, the exclamation will be between 67 and 33%. And if the value is lower than 33%, it will be the red X. I want to change that. I want to use a specific number as we did before. So when the value is higher than 7, number, I want to be the green V. The exclamation point, I want to be equal or between 7, let's put a number, equal when less and equal to 7, and the other values will be the red X. And click apply and OK. As you can see, the result is the same, but now using the specific number. If I change this to 10, it will be green as we told to the rules. Here in the conditional formatting, if we want to put a new rule manually, we have a lot of new options. Format all the cells based on their values, and we can put a 2-color scale, 3-color scale. Only format cells that contain a specific value, a specific text. Only the top or bottom values. Above or below average. just the duplicated values, or we can use a formula to determine the condition. Here we can use any type of formula that we want. Sum of the values, an if function, a min, a max. So here the creativity is free. It's a very powerful tool to use, especially if you want to share your data with others. It will facilitate the people that will use your sheet to understand better your data. So, this was our video for today. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and also let me know what do you want to know in the next videos. We can talk about anything about Excel or Power BI. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video so we can make more content to you. So thank you very much for watching.